everyone. My name is Keith Bateman. I am the head of U.S. marketing at Receiptbank, and I want to welcome you to Forecasting for the Future webinar on industry insights to ignite business growth. In it, we'll be including the development of cash flow forecasting as a service as well. Thanks again for joining us today for this special CPA Innovation Summit Experience webinar. I'm really excited for the upcoming other webinars during this couple of month-long event leading up to December. So today, like I said, we're going to be sharing insights on cash flow forecasting using exclusive research with over 150 accountants and bookkeepers that we got from our Orange Select community. This is literally content made for and by accountants, which I'm really excited about. So let's go ahead and get started with it. We're going to talk through the importance of cash flow forecasting as a service and share 3 key insights derived from data collected via our community of accounting experts. Today, we'll also explore what is cash flow forecasting, examine why the demand is low among clients, and the tools currently being used and why real-time data is so vital to producing the most effective projections. We'll also share an advocate spotlight on Stuart Hurst of Accounts and Legal, who will share his keen insights on cash flow forecasting. Then we'll finally cover the products and tools we offer that can help you surface the data you need quickly and efficiently for cash flow forecasting. So before we get started, a little bit about us at Receiptbank. If you haven't heard of us before, we're the world's leading digital bookkeeping tool and platform. We integrate seamlessly with the leading ledgers from Xero to QuickBooks and integrate with all the tools you maybe already use, like Gusto, Bill.com, just to name a couple. We help you get data faster so that you can deliver even more value to your clients. We work with over 400,000 businesses, 50,000 plus accounts and bookkeepers, and help to process over 12 million receipts a month. And by receipts, we mean everything from invoices, bank statements, actual receipts that come from shoe boxes now can actually be scanned in and help advisors worldwide across the globe. We have offices from everywhere from Australia, South Africa, London, to Paris, France. So it's great to be here today and talk about this topic with you all. And that's just a little bit of background on us, and we'll get back on it a little bit while later on when we touch on how getting accurate data is so important to the process of forecasting. But let's get into our first bit about research and how this whole presentation came to be. So how did it all start? Well, in September of 2020, we surveyed about 150 accountants, bookkeepers, and advisors, including our own resident expert, Mel Dowie, on how they use cash flow forecasting. This all took place on Orange Select, which is Receiptbank's online partner community that offers members networking opportunities, exclusive content, and rewards. So if you're familiar with sites like Accounting Today, Accounting Web, Insightful Accountant, those kind of member groups, content curators, stuff like that, Orange Select is very similar to that. But we've created this own community of accounts within Receiptbank that they can come and share topics, questions, content, all within that. So we created our own little community there of that. And so we thought it was great that we could leverage it and put this survey in there and get their thoughts on cash flow forecasting. So that is where these insights will come from. Accounts just like yourself, some that are just starting with cash flow forecasting, others who have been doing it for years. That's why it's so great that we get all insights from all over the spectrum, and we're happy to share them with you today. So let's jump right into forecasting for the future and what that actually means in regards to our clients and to our firms. So cash flow forecasting is really a vital step in determining the overall health of a business. Maintaining a healthy cash flow is good, but taking the steps to determine future growth is even better. Last year, our Intuit study surveyed 3,000 small businesses in the UK, US, Australia, Canada, and India, and found that the majority of small businesses around the world, close to 61%, struggle with cash flow. And now you can imagine that that number has probably gone up by another 15, 20 points since the start of COVID, and even today as countries like the US struggle, even the UK continues to struggle with COVID surges, and capacity for small businesses and productivity of those small businesses is still around 20 to 40% of what they were pre-COVID. Um, but when we talk about cash flow forecasting, as you can see, it's really about staying on top of business financials, and allowing small businesses to prepare for multiple outcomes, whether those are good outcomes or bad outcomes, of knowing what could happen and allowing those businesses to set up preparations for them. Um, Cash flow forecasting is also a tool that accountants and bookkeepers can use to ensure that those businesses have the financial support in place, as they grow as well. So they can put those monies away, put those monies into their pipeline, so they can, as they scale, they're prepared for it as well. So the first insight that we derive from our survey is that our partners have told us, or our accounting partners have told us, that they're seeing a low demand for cash flow forecasting. And despite the positive impact that cash flow forecasting can have, we got this response that among their client pools, there is a relatively low demand. So let's look into that and see what we can actually derive from that. So as you can see from the pie graph, pie chart here, you can see that over 54% of accounts and bookkeepers surveyed stated that their client demand is low for cash flow forecasting as a service. And now, I'd be interested to know that if you're seeing the same response within your firm or practice, is the demand on your end of the spectrum on that high side where it's about 10%, or are you seeing higher demand for it? What we have to think about here is that I think cash flow forecasting was something that is not always the most marketed service. From the firm side, it kind of falls under that advisory service umbrella, where it may not be the thing you start with when you're marketing to people. I think a lot of clients come in looking for compliance type services, tax help and stuff like that. Loan for PPP advice, things like that, especially nowadays. And this kind of cash flow forecasting type service isn't always something that you market or lead with. On the other end of the spectrum, clients aren't always asking for that either. They may not know that's something that necessarily exists in that type of format or that type of package. They're coming in, like I said, looking for the typical compliance services that come around tax and regulations, and PPP loan attribution, how they should use those things, as well as some other type of bundle services that fall under advisory. They may not be necessarily asking for that type of service when it's actually something that would be very, very valuable to them. Which is why I think this next stat that we'll see up here on the screen is super, super interesting, in that only about 1 in 2 accounts offer cash flow forecasting. They only offer it when the client requests it. So many of our accounting partners are waiting until a client requests it to actually offer it. So that puts those numbers more into perspective. Is that many are waiting back, and not actually marketing that to their clients, and are waiting to someone actually comes up to them and says, "Hey, can you help me in forecasting out the next 2, 3, 4, 5 months of my business, and laying out multiple scenarios of how things could play out based on my current influx of cash and infusion of cash based on different scenarios." So I think this is something where, like I said, it falls on both sides of the spectrum. It's not something that accounting firms are necessarily doing a great job of marketing out, because they may not be prepared to provide that type of service to all their clients. But also, it's not something that clients always are asking for, because they don't know they need it as much, because they're so much in the weeds and thinking about today's concerns and paying this month's rent, or paying our employees this month, that they're not thinking 3 months down the road or 6 months down the road, even though they should be, even though it would help them next month or 2 months from now if they were thinking about it 2 months down the road, when those concerns, they could avert some of those roadblocks if they were. So, I think both of those things fall on the accountant and the client. But like I said, why is this demand so low? It's that many business owners, aren't financial gurus. They don't go into business as a financial guru, thinking a year ahead of time. They focus on their bank balance in the here and now. They focus on how much money they are making today, what does the bank look like when I open up my banking app in the morning? Um, they sometimes can have a short-sighted view of the healthy cash position, especially now, like I said, when many are living month to month, paycheck to paycheck because of being at such a lower capacity because of legal conditions and lockdowns. It's just natural that they do that because of the situation they're in. But financial advisory should be holistic and relay what they need before they actually know they need it. And that is the true value of an accounting partner, an accounting advisor, is that you come to them with information they didn't need, they know they needed, and provide them a path forward, a guidance to their future of how they can avoid roadblocks, how they can avoid errors, and provide them different pathways to success. And I think I love that aspect of an accounting or bookkeeper position, is that you can help them see through the weeds, help them see through the jungle, because they're so far into it that they can't see through the trees through the forest. So that's the thing. And clients, like I said, are generally asking for compliance services, um, but their outlook is actually generally changing. And that's one thing our partners brought up, is that even though the demand isn't there right now, gradually their need for compliance services, or asking or urging of compliance services, is changing as the demand for more in-depth analysis of their business is changing. Um, and it's also on the flip side, like I said, one quote, as you can see in the bottom right, is that one partner said that this is potentially a new service. Cash flow forecasting is a new service that they're looking into, but they're not sure what software to use, how to set it up, how to provide it in a valuable way to their customer and to their client. And that they were previously doing forecasts on spreadsheets, and those weren't always, you know, the right way to do it, the most accurate way to do it. So it is some of that technology gap too, that accountants like yourself may not feel prepared to do the analysis that a client needs. So that's some of it as well. But accountants are, I know, getting gradually out of this catch-up mode or this data recorder mode, and are looking more into that advisory way, where we're becoming getting out of this data manual entry and putting into spreadsheets the data that gets into us every day, but we're automating. We're putting in technology to automate a lot of that data entry, so that we can start providing that guidance to our clients that actually need it. And that's the important part of this. The benefits of cash flow forecasting, um, communicating those is a key part of this too. Is that, like I said, clients don't know they need it until you really tell them, because they're thinking about today and what's in my bank account today. How do I survive today? So it's important to communicate those benefits to them effectively. The benefits of cash flow forecasting include, planning for cash gaps, budget impact visibility, cash shortage management, staying on top of overdue payments, and making better business decisions through the use of this information. Um, Cash flow forecasting is beneficial to businesses in a number of ways, and it needs to be said that many businesses want to know how they'll perform in the future. So that's one thing that you could say to them, is that, don't you if I could give you the information, or if I could give you, some level of accuracy of how your business is going to perform 90 days from now, wouldn't you want to know that information? And I guarantee you, whether it's a good or bad outcome, or good or bad forecast, many business owners are going to say, yes, I would love to know what my future, what my future shows, because then I can do something about it. Wouldn't we all? Whether it's inside or out of business, if you could tell me what my future is and I have the ability to do something about it, wouldn't I? Um, Business owners also think about multiple scenarios in this situation. What might happen 3 months from now that could affect my business? What are the future trends within my industry? Can they expand their services? Should they hire more people, or do they need to let people go in order to positively affect their business or stay sustainable? These are all questions that they are going to be thinking when you are trying to provide this for them, or asking about cash flow forecasting. And these are all questions that keep them up at night, especially about the things of expanding their services. If they were to open up a new product line or pivot their business and add and get more cash flow from that, how much longer would that allow them to operate? Would that allow them to add more staff? Or vice versa, if they eliminated different services, would that allow them to stave off would that allow them to save money by not throwing more cash into something that's actually losing them money? Or if they cut staff, would that allow them to save enough cash flow to stay open 3 months more longer, even though that hurts to eliminate people, would that actually save them enough money to save the other 50% of their employees for 4 more months? So allowing that to answering those questions for them, giving them those scenarios will actually give them peace of mind, and not, answer those questions that keep them up at night. So the question I have for you and that I want you to think about is, how do you communicate the benefits of cash flow forecasting to your clients? How do you answer those questions for them? How do you show them the benefits that cash flow forecasting give to them? Are you already doing these things? Are you already communicating the benefits to them effectively? Whether it's through your website, whether it's through communication documents or emails, or is it not something that you feel like you effectively do today? Um, you know, or if it's is it something that you want to get into, and these are questions that you want to think about, because I feel like it can be hard to approach, because like we said, our customers' minds and our clients' minds are in so many different places, but we know that these are questions that weigh on them. So if we can effectively put this in front of them and help them answer these questions, it is going to be a great value to them. So um, you know think about it. Do you effectively communicate these benefits to them, or how are better ways that you can do it? And the last thing on that is, this can be a core piece of your advisory services package. And I think that's a critical part, is that advisory is a big buzzword that many of your clients probably do know about. They want advice, and advisory has become this big bundle word for many different things, but cash flow forecasting can become one of the cornerstones of that package that you provide. So that's maybe a way in of how you can market this to your clients as well. Insight number two is, more traditional tools are still favored over the more advanced ones. And I think that's interesting. So, um, in that there's a lot more forecasting tools on the market, but they're still not as favored as the more simplistic ones that have been around for a couple decades. Despite being automated, AI-driven tools out there for predicting aggregate cash flow outcomes are still being underutilized. Many accounts, still communicate that they are still slightly hesitant to fully let go of classic Excel spreadsheets, which you may find not as surprising as I do. I think because I've worked with many small businesses on getting them to adopt technology and automate many processes, that I've seen the trend go towards automation and towards technology. But you may find it that working with many of your clients and many other practices within the accounting field, that you may see this trend kind of slowly adopting, a slow adoption. But I think something we can all agree on is that during this period of time, many small businesses are more open to technology. And I think more accounting practices are more open to technology now more than ever, because they know the importance of automation and freeing up their time to focus on other pieces of their business and as well as their clients. So the survey also highlighted a varied toolkit as well. So it's not just Excel, but it's all the different pieces that you see on the screen. So some of these you may not have heard of before, because as we said, this was a global survey of our partners, but many of them you probably have. As you can see, Excel, QuickBooks, some of their in-house reporting. Xero has some in-house reporting as well. Sage, another one, and then Receiptbank and Xavier. Xavier is a solution that we have that's available now in the UK and Australia. It's a Xero-based platform that gives very in-depth insights, and will be coming to the US region next year, which we're really excited about. But many of these, you can see there's many different ones out there, but still over 25% of our accounting professionals chose Excel. 25% did, which little bit surprises me, but people love Excel. They can't get enough of it. So not too surprising there, I guess. And then in second place was QuickBooks cash flow forecasting functionality, with close to 20% surveyed. And though different algorithms and the lack of visibility over the math can affect trust in the levels of technology, in the different levels of technology, um, it doesn't matter, because as long as you have access to clean and accurate data, you can build upon that. So what that means is that no matter what platform you embrace to begin with, as long as your data is flowing to you in real time and it's accurate, that gives you the building blocks to forecast and build a forecasting model for your clients. So data is king. Data is the cornerstone for any forecasting model or platform that you're using. And that's what you should be focused on. And that's what we'll touch on a little bit later with Receiptbank. So a question for you to think about is, how does that sound to you? How do these insights come to you? Do any of these insights come to you as a surprise that many people are using Excel still? Is your firm using Excel for cash flow forecasting or as a general kind of platform for everything? So I would love you to think about that. Or are you looking to invest in a platform that can do more for you and provide those insights for you so you can automate more more of those manual reporting and dashboards and entry to create those reports because it can save you a lot of time. But like we said, having access to real-time, clean, accurate data is the key to any platform that you use. So if you are one of those people that is looking to invest in a more integrated platform, a more new age platform, I should say, you can use this checklist to break down the value that these tools offer and whether you can integrate these with the value that a spreadsheet also brings. So the first thing is, does that platform that you're looking at integrate with accounting platforms? So can it integrate with your GL, the general ledger that you're using? So can it integrate with QuickBooks, Xero? Can it integrate also with, if you're using Gusto for payroll or Bill.com for bill pay? Can it integrate with your tech stack, which is important? So that's one thing, because you don't want to have to manually duplicate things. You don't have to do something in QuickBooks and then export it and put it into your data reporting system. That just takes more time than it's worth. The other thing is it easy to use? And that when we say that, is it easy to use not only for yourself, but is it also easy to use with your clients? Can your clients access the reports from there? Are they able to figure it out without you having to handhold them every time they log in? Because once again, you don't want to have to be stuck in a situation where you're having to spend a phone call every time they're trying to look at the report that you send them, because it's so complicated and it's so complex. There's a lot of platforms out there that can do so many different things for you, but you need to be an IT professional to use them. Trust me, I've used some of those platforms and it was an issue because, like I said, they could do everything on the sun for you, but they were not designed to be marketable. They weren't designed for the end user. They were designed by data scientists who could use them because they designed them, but they weren't built for the end user, which is a shame. So make sure that not only you internally as an accounting professional can use it, but make sure your restaurant client or your construction client can easily access the data and can use it, whether they're 25 years old or 75 years old. The next thing is, can it perform short and long-term forecasts? And by this, I mean, can it quickly develop scenario, build out reporting and forecasts for 30, 60, 90, 120, and 360, and 12 to 24 months down the road. Can it give you both those scenarios? Because your client may only want a 30, 60, 90 today, but as they grow in value with you, and as you help them, guide them through that first quarter and that second quarter, you want to be able to expand into larger reporting and growing that value with them and giving them a larger plan and putting that larger plan in place with them. So you want a platform that can scale with the services that you want to provide them. Is it automated? So there's some platforms that are very intensive in terms of the little bells and whistles that you have to tweak, that you have to type in every piece of data. But we want to make sure that it's automated so that you don't have to keep replicating the same process over and over and over again. You should be able to kind of set up a report, have the data flow in, and then be able to replicate that report for you over and over. So if you want a short-term forecast with this data, and if you set that report up once and has the same data sources flowing in, you should be able to just click start and that report generates. You shouldn't have to set up the sources all again unless you change something. But if the same sources are connected and the data is flowing and you already set the parameters once, you shouldn't have to manually do that all again. So you want to make sure that the platform you're using is automated so that it's cutting out those manual tasks that you normally would have to do if you were using a spreadsheet. And then does it offer what if scenarios? What if scenarios are a very important piece of your cash flow forecasting puzzle because it helps you make confident business decisions. This functionality is for financial occurrences that could that could maybe and possibly happen. And if they did, this is what would happen to your cash flow. So as a business owner, these are things that are important to me because I want to see these three different types of pathways in the journey of my business. And if you're able to provide those for me, it shows me, A, you know what you're doing. B, it shows that you're providing real value to me because I can see the different based on the decisions I make, these are three avenues that my business will go down, and that provides real value to that client. And if I was a business, it would be a big value builder for me. And the third thing is, does it provide three-way forecasting? Three-way forecasting is also known as three financial statements, or known as the three financial statements, is a financial model combining three key reports into one consolidated forecast. So this is great because it links your profit and loss, your balance sheet, and your cash flow projections together so that you can forecast future cash position and financial health. So it takes those three key reports, your income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow projection sheet, and puts them into a health score. And so you're taking all those complex things that a client gives you and are making it into an easy grade that the business owner can understand. And that's so many times that's often your job is making complex numbers into a story by easily allowing the client to see that from those major reports. They can see, okay, our financial health right now is a C. We're going to work with you, and these are the steps that we need to take in order to get it to a B in the next quarter. And these are the steps I recommend that you take. It's great for you to be able to, basically mark their grade and trend their grade with them, and provide them the plan of how you're going to get there with them. And if they take these steps with you, that then they can trend that way and report it over time. So I think it builds value for them because it's a report that they can understand, but it's also a important thing for you to be able to measure them and measure the steps that they take in order to reach those goals with you. So I think it's really cool in that way. So this is a cool little spread checklist that you can use. If you would like a copy of this, just email us at support@receiptbank.com, and we would be happy to provide this for you to use on your own as well. And our last insight here is real-time accurate data is needed to improve cash flow forecasting. So I feel like I'm going to keep saying this, and I've said it a lot, that real-time accurate data, it won't take as long to output. It makes it so that it doesn't take as long to output effective forecasts, because you're not waiting anymore for those shoe boxes of receipts to be manually entered into a spreadsheet, then be put into your GL or your reporting system, and then there is less steps in the process. So and the experts that we surveyed stated that time and data are the two main necessities for better cash flow forecasting. And that by far is the most important thing that you should learn in this, is that if you're not getting real-time accurate data, then you are not probably prepared to give forecasting, cash flow forecasting to your clients, because it's not going to be as valuable to them as if you had those things in place, for them. So at the end of the day, your forecast is only as good as the data you enter into it. So if you're putting in week-old data into your forecast model, then you can only expect week-old results into it. So you can only provide them that kind of stale forecast, and it's not going to be accurate for them. And we, as an advisor and as a true partner to our clients, they deserve the most up-to-date and accurate forecast that we can give them. So we need the best data from them. We need them to give us the data as soon as it's available. And there's tools that can allow us to do that, and we'll get into that a little bit shortly. But for cash flow projection tools to function properly and provide the most impactful insights, your software needs to have accurate sales expense data as well as transaction dates. Those are critical pieces to this. So you need to have those things available to you. You need to be integrated so you can pull that data into your forecasting tool. Cash flow forecasting relies on the collection of data. Data visibility and clean data is vital in gaining a crystal clear cash position on that business. And by plugging clean real-time data into a cash flow forecasting tool, you can plan more accurately where a business will be in 30 days or even 6 months from now because of that real-time data. So there's no guessing. There's no, well, I think we could be off by 5 to 30K here or there based on this. There's none of that. based on having the most accurate data from them. And that is not only on you, that's up to the client as well. They have to provide that data to you. But by messaging in to them the criticalness of having that data, how vital it is for them to make available that data to you, they will begin to understand that you are only as good to them as the data they provide to you, and your systems are only as good to them as the data they provide to you. So if they delay in getting that data to you, then they cannot expect you to be as valuable to them as if that data was available to them or to you in real time. And that's the biggest thing that I want to convey to you in this. So if they want monthly reporting, then they need to have that data available to you, before the end of the month. If they want bi-weekly or a bi-monthly reporting, then that data needs to be available to you as soon as possible by the end of the week. And you need to set up those SLAs with them that says the responsibilities of getting that data available, or having the tools in place, the technology tools in place where they can send in that data as soon as it becomes available, and you can integrate with the platform so that data flows right into you. But it's important to make sure that those responsibilities are put into place with both you and the client so they understand that you are only as good as the data that they provide to you, to make this work. So, like I said before in our agenda, I'd love to actually give real life examples of how people are thriving with this and how they actually put into practice. And we actually, we provide an actual, advocate who does this. So Stuart Hertz is director of at Accounts and Legal Limited. And he actually, what he says, he believes that accurate financial data is the critical to creating a financial flow forecast. And this is something, like I said, is the keystone to that forecast, is having the most accurate data available to you, because he knows this helps business owners sleep at night. They're not triple double guessing the forecast you gave them, because they know that you have available to you the most accurate data. So that forecast you gave them is going to be the most accurate one possible. They're not double guessing you anymore. And he says, as an accountant, that's my reason for being, is to give them that peace of mind, that they can go to bed at night and not have to think about all these different scenarios. You've given them scenarios. You've given them and outlined that plan of what could happen in all three good, bad, and ugly scenarios, because you have all the data that they have. You have all their banks, their debts, their credits. You have all that information, so you can give them the most accurate timeline of what may happen in all three different scenarios, which is important. And that's what he loves doing. That's why he loves his job. So what we did, and he's helped over 1,000 clients go cloud-based with their accounting and implement different technology that allows him to provide these insights. So he's a true believer in this type of cloud or cloud forecasting for that very reason, because he knows the impact it can have on small business and their clients. So we asked him a couple of questions that we thought would be important in this conversation. And the first one was, how as an accountant does he ensure effective cash flow management for his clients? And he says the first thing is that there has to be an education piece for the clients. You have to try and demonstrate the value of the service, and that is very important. They're not just going to, and we talked about that with the communication of it. You have to have them understand why you want to implement this within their business and the value behind it. But he says that during COVID-19, I think we've all experienced this, is that it's made that conversation a lot easier to do. That many of the customers for the first time in his career are actually coming to him for support rather than him having to pitch the idea to them. And I think it's because many businesses, like I said, like we talked about, are looking to stay sustainable, and they want more clarity into what their livelihood looks like, and they're coming to him for ideas, and so he can better inject that idea into, or that methodology into their process. And they're open to technology now. They're not as opposed to technology as they would have been 12 months ago, because the status quo is broken. The status quo is no more. We're not in the old world anymore. So they're open to these old ideas, whether they be around cash flow forecasting or embracing accounting technology. So this is the time to have those conversations. The second thing he says is that the data needs to be up to date. Otherwise, the cash flow is garbage, as you can see in that quote. He says this is the technical term for it. It's also not something that should be done as a one-of-a-kind, one-time kind of thing. He says it's super important that you do this continually to have any kind of value. it needs to be a routine thing, whether you do it bi-monthly, monthly, quarterly. It needs to have repeated. You need to do it repeatedly so it builds value with the client, so they can see the progression of what you're doing and how it's impacting their business. A one-off thing is not going to build value with them. And then the third thing he says is that you want to make the most of tech. So you want to utilize technology as best you can, because it's going to save not only you time, but it's going to allow you to provide the fastest, most accurate forecast for that client. And then he says there are many ways that you can help cash flow management. Um, that accounts like him and firms like us can help with cash flow management by turning on more customer payment methods, such as online payments and direct debits, as well as software to help with chasing debits. So that's different ways. That's another way, as other than just cash flow forecasting, by integrating customer payment methods and getting access to online payments and their direct debits, you can really help them manage their debt situation and really help them with that overall cash flow management issues, that can help them with those things, and analyzing what's going on in their actual business, which I thought was very interesting. And then we asked them, what role does real-time accurate financial data play in their cash flow management and forecasting process? He says it's critical. It's the most critical piece of it. If you don't have the most definitive, up-to-date list of customers who owe us, as well as the bills that need to be paid, they could be miles off with the cash flow forecast. So, and he found it, as you can see in the quote there, and you probably find this with your own clients, that it's alarming how many businesses still run blind um, from their bank balance. They don't know how much is in their Chase account, how much is in their Bank of America, because they're probably scared to see how low the balance is, how little money they have left, and two, it's just been depleted so much quicker than it was in the past, just because they're throwing money left and right at all the different fires that are burning within their business, unfortunately, just because of, like I said, where we are as an economy. Um, and so, that day that phone call comes from Chase that says, "Hey, your overdraft," that's when they finally realize how low their business has gone. Um, and so, it's even easier than ever to keep up to date, especially now with all the accounting tech available to us, that we can integrate ourselves into their business, so that we can basically take the burden off of them having to worry about it, but we can take that cash flow management burden off of them. And every time they don't pay a bill, or every time someone doesn't pay, that's a thing of the past. We can manage all those services for them and notify them and see it weeks or months ahead, and make sure that that doesn't happen to them. And that's the important part. We can take that burden off them, take that worry off of them as well. um, and then we asked him to give an example of clients where accurate data has been critical to financial planning, especially during COVID. He said it's really been huge this year, because the sales tap, so to speak, got turned off when the lockdowns happened. Everyone's sales capacity went down by 50, 75%. Some even went down to 0% when they couldn't even open, hospitality especially. um, so having updated and accurate data for almost all these businesses has been literally life-saving, because how low their productivity went to and where they actually lie in terms of how much longer they can stay afloat based on where they are. It's allowed them to calculate cash burn rates, which is interesting, so you can see basically what they can do to slow this rate down. So whether it's cutting off services that are losing them money, that are hemorrhaging them money. So things they thought maybe were making them money may actually be costing them more to produce or more to keep on. So analyzing all these things, calculating that cash burn rate, and seeing which areas of their business are actually losing them more money to keep on. And by turning them off, that may actually save them 3 or 4, maybe 5 months of runway to stay open. It also may be something where they can create several financial models, that's allowing them to basically give different scenarios to the clients, such as what if they received government support, what if they received another PPP loan, or financial aid, or if they pivoted to another sales channel and they got like an infusion of cash that way, how much longer could they survive or sustain? Or even the worst case scenario, what if they had to cut staff? How long would that be allow them to stay afloat? So with that information, with that accurate information, he's able to provide these in-depth scenarios of, if you choose this option, this is what happens. if you choose this option of cutting staff, this is what happens. So he's able to provide these kind of sort of variety of scenarios that can help that client get an accurate picture of what happens if I choose door A or door B or door C. But I think that cash burn scenario of being able to calculate that, so a business can actually see where are they wasting money, because a lot of times it can be in our own lives. We spend money on things that we may not realize are our cable bill is actually $120, or we're spending money on another chart, Netflix, and gone up to $20 maybe, and we didn't realize. We thought it was still $6. So things like that, things that we may not necessarily need in our own lives, can be applied to the same thing in business. You're spending money on so many different things, you don't realize how much it adds up, especially when you're trying to pinch every penny to stay sustainable. So I think that was very interesting. So our last section here is how a platform like Receiptbank can help you with collecting, extracting, and reconciling accurate data so that you can provide those real-time cash flow insights and cash flow forecasting for your clients. So with Receiptbank, it's truly, really the best ways that you can get all your paperwork from your clients in one place, sort it, categorize it, and ready it for reconciliation in a fraction of the time. So there's no more, like I said, shoe boxes, folders, manual data entry anymore. It allows you to truly get away from the manual nature of your job, so that you can really focus on that reporting, advising, partnership place in your job that really a lot of people are moving to, that advisory type role that many bookkeepers and accounts are moving to, where they can really build value within their clients in that relationship. It pulls all the data that you need from all bank statements, invoices, receipts, expenses, all into a single dashboard, so that you can see what's going on within that business and with your clients, so that you're make sure your clients are paying the right taxes, type of tax. It automatically sets tax categories, codes, does currency conversion. So if you have different types of international clients, or ones that work in Canada and Mexico, it can do all those things automatically for you. So it takes away a lot of that manual nature. But the best part is, and something we discussed before, it integrates into your tech stack. So if you already are using something like QBO with your clients, or Zero, or Augusto, it builds into your existing tech stack. And what we said is, that's the important thing. We don't want to expand our manual nature. We want to eliminate things from our day-to-day. And so that's why I illustrate this with many of our clients. And this is something a lot of our partners use, is that we lay out many aspects of our practice, and we say, okay, what are we doing for payroll? What is the platform that we use for payroll? What is the thing we use to pay bills? Our general ledger, our reporting software. What are we doing to collect bills, receipts, expenses, and categorize and reconcile these things? And we want to make sure that we can automate as many of these processes as possible. So this is a great thing that you can do yourself in your own firm, and say, how many of these processes are we automating today? If we're not automating our bill collection, receipt collection, expense collection, how can we do that? And how, if we are doing it today, do all these platforms talk to each other? And if we're not talking to each other, how do we find ones that do talk to each other? How can we reduce the time that we're spending typing one data into another platform? Because if you have tech that doesn't talk to each other, you kind of might as well just be doing it manually at that point, because you're spending the same amount of time. So we want to make sure all these platforms, like it shows with the arrows, talk to each other. And then this is just an example of how that works. So the next example of what one of our clients use, one of our accounting firms uses, where they have Receiptbank in the front end to collect all those bank statements, receipts, invoices from their clients, so those clients can just quickly scan a receipt, email in a receipt, take a picture of a receipt or a bank statement or invoice. So it just goes from their phone right into that dashboard and reconciles it, sorts it, categorizes it, matches it up with the bank statement automatically. So it all gets accurately extracted and matched together. And then that data can then feed into Gusto and for your payroll online. It can also go into Bill.com if you're using that for online bill pay. It can then all together flow then into your GL or general ledger of choice, whether that's QBO or Zero, so that can all then store there automatically as your general hub of all your financial documents. And then if you're already using a financial reporting software like Fathom, or in the future like Xavier when it comes to the US, all that data then can get consolidated for a one-stop shop for in-depth reporting. So like I said, Receiptbank is your starting platform where you can all your data is captured, all your receipts, all that manual stuff captured, that real-time data that we're talking about can then flow directly into your reporting software to give you that next step in reporting, so you can provide those cash flow insights, which is necessary. And this just kind of lays it out for you. So this is really about making you efficient to your clients. Financial insights make you truly indispensable to them. We help you use your clients' data to provide financial insights, advice, and allow you to add additional services onto them, and truly, like I said, make you invaluable to your clients. You can get assurances that your numbers are right, see any business metric that you want across your whole client base as well. And you're able to, with Receiptbank and with this kind of setup, identify business opportunities and spot issues before they become costly problems. So like I said, it starts with the bookkeeping productivity at the top, getting all that data in. And then with different features by using our bank data match capabilities, by getting all those things matched together with the bank feeds, with the feeds from all their different systems automatically coming in. So you're matching all the data with the invoices and bank statements that are coming in, so it's all accurately matching together. That can then allow you, since it's all coming in real time, to provide those forecasting and advisory reports that you need. Like I said, you're not having to worry about, is this data accurate? Is the data on time? You know when it's coming in, but you can also see if a document's not coming in with a bank feed statement, you can then ping them and make sure that you get that statement from them. You can see, you can always make sure that if a document's missing, that you can reach out to them and make sure that you get that document from them. So that's why a platform like Receiptbank makes it easier to get forecasting data available to you in real time. And then these are just a couple of features that help you, like I said, get more of that data to you quicker and more accurately. So things like request paperwork, like I mentioned. So if you're missing a document, you can set up automatic notifications to your clients that will ping them and notify them, hey, you need to send this invoice in on time, or this expense report in on time. It'll ping their phone. Everyone has their phone on them nowadays. Every business owner, every client of our accountants knows that they have their smartphone on them. So it'll ping them until they send in that document for you, so that you don't have to chase them down. You don't have to call them. You don't have to email them 20 times. It'll ping them until they submit that document to you. You can even chat with them on the device, like an in-app chat, so they can see if they have any issues with it. But you can make sure that that source document matches in with the fees that are coming into Receiptbank automatically. And like I said, that automatic extraction, when they scan in or they take a picture of that document, that 99% accurate extraction will take all that data from those documents and put them right into Receiptbank, so that you don't have to worry about categorization or any tax codes, any of that stuff. It'll automatically extract that data for you, so there's no need for you to have to manually do it anymore, which is great. And then we also pull invoices from over 1,400 suppliers. So we take that out of you, so that it automatically categorizes those documents by supplier, and labels them individually if needed. So takes that off your back as well. So you're getting all that data real time, categorized, sorted, no more manual entry, and then you can focus on just providing the services that they need, including cash flow forecasting. And it allows you too to track client efficiency even more. So along with seeing, what lies ahead in that client's journey. So with seeing the data in real time, you're able to see, okay, I can tell that the burn rate is XYZ. It looks like that they're paying a little bit too much on this, or these bills are out of date. They need to pay these ASAP. They're running behind on this month's rent. Da da da. You can see all these things in real time with Receiptbank, but it also gives the ability as a firm to identify which clients may be costing you more money to your service as well. So it also allows you, as this data is flowing in, to track the overall efficiency of your own firm and see if you're actually matching expectations of yourself, and to see, do you need to divert more of your company resources to certain clients versus other clients, or are certain clients costing you more money than they're currently worth, and how do you make that relationship with that particular client more efficient? So it allows you to also perform almost your own cash flow forecast on your own business, but you're able to see globally the efficiency of working with certain clients across your entire business, and see which ones you need to become more efficient, and which ones are overly efficient that you can assign different resources off of into other parts of your business as well. So it allows you to get more insights on your actual firm itself, which is great too. So you're not only building more value with your actual clients, but you're actually building more value within your actual firm and making sure that you're getting the most value for the services that you provide. And then lastly, we create this great little what we call cash flow survival guide. It's a great little ebook that I think is both great for firm owners, firm staff, as well as your clients, because it gives them a background on what it actually means, what a cash flow statement should look like, a breakdown of the categories, what information should be on it. So I think it's a great guide that you could check out yourself, but also something that you could reach out to your clients and say, hey, we were thinking about marketing these services, doing some cash flow forecasting. This could be like an introductory document that you send to them to see if they're interested in it. It could be like a little introduction, getting their feet wet into this conversation about cash flow forecasting as a service. So if you're interested in learning more about this guide, it's available for free on our website at receiptbank.com. But if you would like us to send this to you, just feel free to email us at support@receiptbank.com. Once again, that's support@receiptbank.com. And we're happy to send you this guide so that you can share it amongst your clients or just internally to check out all the information that's on it, many of which that we covered today in the presentation. And then if you're interested in learning more about Receiptbank and how we can help you extract that data, that accurate real-time data, so that you can get more into the cash flow forecasting as a service part of your business, because like we said, we know many people are still using Excel or kind of outdated tools to manually do the stuff. But if you want something that can integrate to your existing tech stack or general ledger, Receiptbank's a great intro tool. So if you want to learn more, we're happy to set you up with a free demo. So just email us at support@receiptbank.com. We're happy to run you through a quick 15-minute demo of the platform so you can learn more, see if it's the right fit for both you and your clients, and see if it's going to be a benefit and get your feet wet once again in doing forecasting as a service for your clients. And then if there's any overall questions of what we presented today, if you would like any of the checklists that we went through today, the technology checklist, or any of the guides, any of the slides we went through today, please feel free once again to email us right there on the screen at support@receiptbank.com. And we're happy to provide you anything that you saw here today or help you out with any information that we went over and share some of the research that we found from our accounting partners as well. But once again, I want to thank you all for your time today. It's been a pleasure to share some of the insight that we got from our accounting community. I love when we can take insights that we get from our own accounting partners that are just like you, even if you're not a Receiptbank user. I love that the community we built and share it with the outside community, especially MA CPA, which is a great community in itself. So thank you all again for having us a part of this, for taking the time to watch this presentation. If you have any questions whatsoever, I believe we'll be also sending the slide deck to you all. So reach out if you have any questions on it. But I hope you enjoyed. I hope you have a great rest of your day and your week. And take care, everyone. Bye-bye.